Hello Sagittarius, Sagittarius Rising and Sagittarius Moon people. This is your monthly astrological horoscope for August 2017. And a quick reminder for all of you out there, remember I'm actually going to be doing a special video on the Uranus retrograde that's coming up this week, and stay tuned for that. It's a different kind of energy than I felt in previous years, and I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that Uranus is kind of on its last bit of its journey through Aries between now and May, and I want to make sure that it gets covered in more of a collective astrology sense, you know, where everyone's included, not so much on an individual horoscope sense. And this Uranus retrograde, like I said, it's the last time Uranus is going retrograde while being fully committed to Aries for a long time, exclusively committed to Aries. So stay tuned for that. And of course, if you ever want to get a session with me, you can always follow the links below, or go to integrativemysticism.com. So, what is going on with this month for you Sagittarius people? Well, Sagittarius, we have some leftover energies this month. We've got Venus in Cancer in your 8th house of shared resources, passive income, and intimacy, making it a very, very nice month for a lot of you because it is talking about an opportunity to bond with more one-on-one time, more intimate time with your partner. We're also seeing a lot more sweetness get brought into more private and personal concerns. I don't want this video to start off so smutty, but you can get the gist of what I'm saying. Venus in the 8th house does actually draw more affection, more romance, and more adventurousness into our romantic doings, and even if we're single, some people who are more adventurous than people we've been with before. We've also got Mars in Leo, in your 9th house of higher education, government and legal proceedings, as well as travel and broadcasting, and your spiritual life. And with Mars in this area, this is the time for a lot of Sagittarius people to be focusing on, you know, their more aggressive marketing strategies. For those of you who run your own business or you're in charge of marketing, you're trying to advertise or promote somebody or something, you know, your target audience is going to be a lot more willing and able to hear you now. You're also going to be noticing that you're beating a lot of competitors in this regard. Mars in this area can also bring a champion to your side. If you need help in a government or legal proceeding, or if you're dealing with business, you're dealing with school, if you need an extra pair of hands, need some extra help, Mars usually sends in an assistant. Whether it's a champion, a bodyguard, somebody who's there to stick up for you, help you kind of shoulder the load, so to speak, all month. And so be prepared if you've been going it alone in a lot of areas, if you've been, you know, kind of spending your time not really being inclusive with folks, not actually sharing, again, some of the burden that you've been carrying. You've got people who are volunteering to help you out, do things for you, stick up for you. This is a wonderful month for those of you who are maybe thinking about initiating some kind of appeal process, or maybe even going through some kind of serious paper-pushing process to overcome or overtake some kind of initiative or some kind of block, whether it be paperwork, legal work, whatever, and, you know, and finally get that cast aside as well. So that's a leftover energy from July, but it's with you all August as well. On the 7th of the month, we've got a lunar eclipse full moon in Aquarius. This is in your 3rd house of communications, pacts, and promises, as well as contracts. And this lunar eclipse is happening in an area of your chart which is a bit less impactful to you than it is to other signs, and that's because the 3rd house is considered a cadent house, which means it's highly situational, and it's a house of low impact. And a lot of people get worried about lunar eclipses a lot, you know, for that reason. Remember, lunar eclipses bring the endings, and the solar eclipses bring new beginnings, okay? Now, a lunar eclipse, again, being the ending, it opens up a transitional period. It opens up a window period between the 7th of the month and going into its the end of its prime anyway, in early November. There's a prime area that kind of happens, and, you know, a lot of people say an eclipse energy lasts even upwards of 5 or 6 months, but the prime energy is always in that first 3. And this is ending a contract, or ending a lease, or ending some kind of binding commitment that you have. Some of you may actually be leaving some kind of program that you're a part of, whether you're a member, you are an attendee. Some of you may be a part of a private group, a social group, or some kind of, fraternity of some kind, or some kind of working circle. Some of you may actually be deciding to take your leave from those things. While not for everybody, certainly this can be a time where some of you may even be going through a bit of a shift in terms of, transport. Some of you may actually, between August 7th and in November, may actually be trading in terms of, getting a new car, letting go of something that you had before. And a lot of this is starting a way for you to kind of, again, get away from things that have been binding you up, obligations that have been tying you to people, paperwork, again, contracts and things like that. What needs to be severed, what needs to be released? Where do you have too many chains holding you down, too many cords attached to you? That's the clearing energy of this moon. On the 12th of the month, we've got Mercury turning retrograde in Virgo, in your 10th house of career. And with Mercury retrograde in Virgo from the 12th to about the 31st of the month, you may be noticing that it's hard for you to get people to fully understand or appreciate what it is you do for your job, for your work. And when I say it that way, it's not necessarily just about appreciation in terms of compensation. It can be kind of a frustrating month, I will say, on the job front, because it's almost like we're being asked to do things that are, beneath us. Maybe they are part of a job we don't have anymore. People are requesting for us to do things outside of our job description. Customers may be asking us to do things that are against policy. Luckily, it only sticks around for about 2.5 weeks. But just, pay attention to where that is all starting to get a little bit crazy. Remember, Mercury retrograde, you also want to go over everything with a fine-toothed comb. If you're starting a new job this month, you may notice that the job description may change just out of nowhere, or you may notice that something has to be redefined or reevaluated in terms of your own availability for your own benefit. So just keep that in mind, alright? It will only be there for, again, 2.5 weeks. On the 21st of the month, we've got a solar eclipse in Leo, in your 9th house of, again, travel, higher education, spiritual practice, your government legal proceedings, broadcasting. And this solar eclipse opens up a huge opportunity to actually get something, I guess you could say, fully realized or fully achieved in these areas, whether it is a big win in terms of, say, a lawsuit or some kind of legal proceeding of that kind, a transition there, a new beginning in terms of maybe initiating one that is going to have a better chance of winning. This is also a wonderful energy for those of you who are looking to try and get some kind of travel opportunity going for yourself, whether you're trying to relocate, if you're trying to move to another country. Over the course of, again, the 21st of August, going up through the end of November, all energies from this eclipse are focusing straight on this area of your astrology chart. A lot of you may be going back to school, finishing up a major, a degree, or some other kind of higher education program. And with the solar eclipse, this could even be some kind of payment or some kind of incentive coming from work to go through this extra training with the opportunity to actually, again, bolster your career once completed as we get into, again, that November period. So a very, very interesting new beginning from that solar eclipse. And this may actually change how you connect with the work that you do and the education that you have, henceforth. On the 22nd, we've got the Sun entering Virgo, that 10th house of career, and while we may be having some frustrations from that Mercury retrograde, the Sun does bring a lot of attention to you, a lot of good attention, a lot of loving attention, attention that could actually be giving you a way to get more out of the work that you do, whether it's, again, more money, more productivity. Usually with the Sun, we tend to see healing, we see reparations, and we also see, increasing the yield of our takeout, increasing our profits, increasing what's being paid our way. And that's an energy that's sticking with you all the way from the 22nd of August up until the 3rd week of September. So it looks like a lot of the frustrations from Mercury retrograde may purely be social, and everything else seems to be hunky-dory. On the 25th, we've got Saturn going direct in your sign after being retrograde for the last few months. And Saturn has been doing a lot to the Sagittarius people the last few years, since it's been in there about 2.5 years now. And a quick reminder, I've had a lot of Sagittarius people come to me for readings, and they think that Saturn going through your sign is the Saturn return. It's not, okay? It's not a Saturn return to just simply have Saturn going through your sun sign. Saturn returns are when Saturn transits or goes back to the same place that Saturn was when you were born. That's a Saturn return. Saturn going through your sign is a different kettle of fish. And what's happening with Saturn going through your sign, again, is that we've been kind of looking at your rules, your code of ethics, your sense of morals, what you consider to be model behavior. And it's been really challenging us. It's been, I think a lot of Sagittarius people have been having some identity crises, over the last couple of years, because it feels like problem-solving skills get heavily challenged, communication skills get heavily challenged, personality clashes rampant, and Saturn is basically saying, okay, well, what tools have you been using for too long? Maybe you're trying to use tools that don't belong to you, maybe you're following the wrong example. And we're looking at that as a lesson that starts to really be examined over and over and over again from the 25th of this month into December, when Saturn finally leaves leaves Sagittarius and goes into Capricorn. And when we say, like, what examples are you following that you shouldn't? Sometimes these are things that are instilled in us from childhood. Our parents are just adults who happened to make love. They're not, geniuses. They're not, well, some of them are. They're not, but they're not all-knowing. They didn't create the universe, so sometimes the lessons and sometimes the ethics and the morals and the expectations for life that they have or they instilled in us are inherently flawed. And so, because they're also humans, got to give them a break. But where have we been carrying some of that with us? Again, in our sign, it's how we project ourselves. It's how we carry ourselves, and a lot of those lessons may come home to roost over the next couple of months, guys. But you also have a chance to stop history from repeating, and that's what Saturn's ultimately trying to do. On the 26th, we have Venus going into Leo, into your 9th house of higher education, government, legal proceedings, and all of that good stuff. And this, when it's in the 9th house, Venus tends to talk about love coming from a place that's alien to us, from foreign to us. It's either from a foreign land, foreign background, foreign culture, foreign religion, different political background, and a really good opportunity to kind of see how we resonate with something that is totally, again, foreign and alien to us. And that happens, because it's on a soul level. And a lot of you may actually even meet somebody while you're traveling or while they are traveling, or maybe they move into your space, or you're both in school, they meet each other through school. It's a gorgeous opportunity. For those of you who are currently coupled, Venus in the 9th house says that your partner is starting to show more an interest in these things. Your partner is starting to expand their culture. Your partner is starting to, want to grasp and reach out to things outside the comfort of his own backyard or her own backyard. And the nice thing about Venus here is, like, there's a way to bond for the two of you going on this adventure in unexplored territory. It's a big theme of September for a lot of you, but I think a fair amount of it's going to start in the last week here of August. Finally, we've got Mercury retrograde in this area. Mercury's going to slide back from Virgo into Leo for the last week and a half or so of its retrograde period. So from the 31st of August until about the, near the end of the second week of September. Or possibly less than that. And with Mercury retrograde in this part of your chart, be careful between the 31st and, again, the first couple of weeks of September till Mercury gets its bearings straight, not to cement any big travel plans or make any, or conclude any deals or mediations. What happens will have to be revised anyway, so we might as well just save the energy. It's really more of a September thing. We'll talk about that, cross one bridge at a time, but because it's happening on the 31st, I thought I would include it now. So that is your horoscope, Sagittarius. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate it. And of course, if you ever want to get a session with me, you can always follow the links below, or go to integrativemysticism.com.